Let's front puppy.
Boom! The front to the TARDIS is open. Now let's get that puppy in there.
Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to create your own Siri command to control your Tesla. I'm actually going to have some fun with this and make this front puppy related. Tesla's phone app communicates with your car through its own API. It sends the command to its server and in turn sends that command to your vehicle. Tesla has some built-in voice commands, but they don't advertise what's available. If there are voice commands that are missing, or you want to customize existing commands, you must rely on third-party applications. Third-party apps are a great way to bridge the gap between what Tesla offers and what consumers want. But there's one problem with third-party applications. Tesla doesn't officially support them. So instead of the apps redirecting to Tesla, a safe site to enter your username and password, you are giving your Tesla credentials directly to the third-party app. We are hoping that these developers do the right thing and not save your credentials. It's really a considerable risk, especially if you don't know the developers. So what can we do if you're worried about security? Well, I'm going to show you step by step on how to create your own Siri command. It does take some time, but in the end, you know it's safe. We'll be using Apple's own application called Shortcuts. And we'll be utilizing the same APIs Tesla uses on their phone application to communicate with your Tesla. And your credentials are safe because they're stored on your phone. So let's look at all the steps that need to occur before we start creating the shortcut. First, we will need to authenticate with Tesla. We do this to let them know who we are. Second, we will get all the vehicles from our account. Our third step is to verify that the car is awake. And finally, we will open our front. So let's begin. Here we have the shortcut app from Apple. I'm using an iPad because of the bigger real estate screen. But you could also do this on your phone. The first thing we want to do is create a shortcut. So let's click on Create Shortcut button. First, we want to give our shortcut a name. So let's click on the three dots next to New Shortcut. This will be the second part of our voice command for Hey Siri. To change the icon, we click on the icon next to Let's Front Puppy. I'm going to choose a blue color because my car is blue. And then I'm going to go ahead and find a car icon for my shortcut. If I want, I can add my vehicle name to the end of this command, in case I have multiple Teslas. This way I could differentiate between them. But in my case, I only have one, so I'm not going to add my car's name to the end of the command. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a comment, so I remember all the steps that I need to accomplish for this shortcut. I'm going to go into scripting and find comment. Now that I have this, I could go ahead and enter in all my steps. Now that we identified all the steps, let's tackle the first step of authenticating with Tesla. Instead of doing everything within this shortcut, I'm going to create a new shortcut for each step. This will help with maintainability. It will also help debug your shortcut if you make a mistake. So we'll create smaller shortcuts that our main shortcut will end up calling. Just like before, we'll click on the three dots and name our shortcut. We'll call this shortcut Authenticate with Tesla. Let's take a look at the API that we want to authenticate with Tesla. The base URL for all our examples today will start with https://owner-api.teslamotors.com. The call we want to make to get our access token is OAuth/token. This is the call we want to make when we want to send our email address and our account password to Tesla. We also need the client ID and client secret. This comes from Tesla. Since this isn't officially supported, I'm not going to include it here. You can easily find them through a quick Google search. Typically, you will sign up for a developer's account, which would then generate a unique client ID and client secret specifically for you. However, Tesla does not support this feature. When we make a call, we will get the access token in return. This is the token we need when we make every other request to Tesla. They're relatively short-lived. The access token lasts for 45 days and expires after that. These tokens are what tells Tesla who you are and let them know that you are authenticated correctly. It also lets Tesla know when these tokens were created and if it's valid. To begin our authentication process, we will need to enter the URL we discussed previously. Now that we have the URL, we will want to make the call with our request to get the access token. We do this by using the get contents of URL command. When we do this, it automatically grabs the URL from above and puts it into the network call. And we can see this by the line that connects the two. Next, we will click on Show More. We will configure the network call here. We will set the method for this as post, and we'll start adding the details into the request body that we want to send to Tesla. If we remember, we're sending 5 pieces of data to Tesla. The key tells Tesla what the data is, and in the text, that's where we put the value of that data. First is the grant type, and we're going to tell Tesla that this is going to be a password grant. For email and password, we will enter the email and password that's associated with your Tesla account. And for client ID and client secret, this is where you're going to enter those data that you find online. Again, I don't want to put this out there because I'm not sure if Tesla wants this public or not, but it's really easy to find it online. If you entered your email, password, client ID, and client secret into the corresponding text values, we should be able to run this command and test this out. And I can do this by pressing the play button that's located on the bottom right of the screen. The first time you run this, you'll get a prompt from Apple asking if you want to access this website. Since we know it's Tesla, we will press the OK button. And if everything works correctly, you will see the response in a JSON format. JSON is nothing more than a set of key value pairs. On the left of the colon, you will see the key, which corresponds to what we're looking at. And on the right is the value of that associated key. A comma then separates each key value pair in that set. We want to grab the value associated with access token because this is what we're going to use for our future calls. And the way we extract the token is by using the getValueForKey command. Our network call is connected to the getValue action automatically, and we can see this by the line connecting the two. Where it says key, we will enter access_token. Now if I rerun this command, I'll get the access token. You'll see it's different from the previous token, and that's because each time you make this call, Tesla will generate a brand new token for you. Also to note, if you reset your password, Tesla will revoke every token that has been generated. Now that we can authenticate to Tesla, we will run the shortcut inside our Less From Puppy shortcut. We can do this by finding the action, Run Shortcut. Next, we will click on the shortcut and select Authenticate with Tesla. Since we will use this token on the next 3 actions, we will store the access token to a variable. You can do this by searching for set variable. I'll call the variable access_token, and it's automatically linked to the shortcut results. If we press show more under run shortcut, we want to verify that show while running is disabled. By doing this, Apple won't redirect to the authenticate with Tesla shortcut when it executes. Now that we have the access token, we need to figure out which vehicle we want to use the command on. This is not the same as your VIN. This is a unique identifier on Tesla's own database. The API we're going to use is API/1/vehicles. This call will retrieve all the vehicles that you own. We get 2 things back when we make this call. Count, which gives us the number of vehicles on the account, and response, which contains a list of all the vehicles you have. If you take a look at the response, we want to get the value for ID and not vehicle ID. If you also look, it has the display name, which is the name of your Tesla. This is what we're going to use to compare with. So what we're going to do next is loop through the response one at a time and compare display name to our vehicle name. If they match, then we'll save the ID to a new variable. This is the value that we're going to return. Just like before, we're going to create a new shortcut. We'll call this getVehicleID. Now, because this is the first time we're doing this, we're going to start by running the shortcut Authenticate with Tesla. We'll replace this later. Since we need the access token, we'll save it to a variable like before. Next, we need to get the name of my car. I'm going to search for text and put my name in that text value. I will then save this text to a variable called name. Like before, we will set the URL and do a get context of URL. This call is a get call, but we need to inform Tesla who we are. We will add this to the header. Under key, we will enter authorization. And for the value, we will enter bearer space and use the variable for the access token. At runtime, shortcut will replace the variable with the actual value. Before we continue, let's test this out and verify that it works. And it works. As you can see, it returned my car on my account. So let's go ahead with the rest and loop through this response. Like before, we'll grab the dictionary value for the key response. The value will be the list of all the vehicles on your account. Doesn't matter if you have 1 or 100, it will always be a list. Now that we have a list of vehicles, let's loop through all of them. We could do this by using repeat with each action. As you can see, there's a line connecting the get value action and repeat action. The value is automatically passed into the repeat each as a dictionary value. Inside this repeat action, we can now act on each item in the list. Here is where we'll compare the display name and see if it's the same as the name we saved earlier. So let's get the value of the display name. You'll see the line connecting the repeat each with the get value. It automatically populates repeat item in the in clause. This is the single item returned from the repeat each. If you have 5 cars, we will loop through this 5 times, and each repeat item will contain each one of your cars. Let's search for if so we could create a conditional. Here we have if, otherwise, and if clause. If the condition evaluates to true, it will execute everything between the if and otherwise clause. If the condition evaluates to false, then it will execute everything between otherwise and end if. If you click on the condition, you will see your only option is has any value and does not have any value. This is because Apple doesn't know the type of the value. The easiest way to fix this is to click on the dictionary value and under type, reselect text. Now you should see a whole bunch of conditions. Since we want to see if the display name from the list is the same as the car name, we'll choose is, and in text, we'll select our variable, name. If the display name is the same as our variable name, we would then want to save this ID to a variable. We want to do this so we can return it. To grab the ID from the repeat item, we once again use get dictionary value. And this time the key we want is ID. Now you'll see it automatically links to the if clause above. We need to change this. We will need to first clear it and then select repeat item. Once we do that, we'll go ahead and get set variable and save that value to a variable ID. Now, if we run this, we should get our ID displayed. Before we close out this shortcut, let's go back and replace the run shortcut in the beginning. Since we have that in the less from puppy shortcut, we will just pass in the access token to this shortcut instead of asking for a new access token. The first thing we want to do is click on the three dots again. Next, we will enable Show in Share Seat. This tells the shortcut that we're sharing the shortcut for other shortcuts, and we intend to pass a value to it. So let's select at the top right, deselect all. We only want to select text. Let's go back and click done. Now we are prepared to pass in the value. For this, we're going to pass in the access token and the name. The shortcut only allows you to pass in one value at a time, so we'll need to combine these two values before it gets passed into the shortcut. Once passed in, we'll need to split these values so we can use them again. I'll be using a common delimiter that I know won't be used. I personally like using the semicolon. So let's search for split text. We'll place this in the bottom. We need to drag this to the top. Once at the top, we'll go ahead and remove Run Shortcut. Next, we'll click on New Lines. This will show us all the options to split the text. Feel free to keep new lines if it's easier for you. In my example, I'll be using Custom, and where it says Custom Separator, I'm going to enter the semicolon. Now that we separated the text, we'll need to extract the values. The split text separates it into a list. In our case, we will ensure that the first item will always be the access token, and the second item will be the name of our vehicle. So we'll search for Get Item From List and place that under Split Text. Shortcuts automatically link the Get Item From List with Split Text. Now we will set that to a variable and call it Access Token. We will do the same two steps now for name. With our name example, we want to ensure that we get the last item. We want to select the appropriate list as well, which is coming from split text. So let's choose magic variable and find split text. For the set variable, we'll choose the magic variable again and select item from list. Now that we're done with this, we could go back to Let's Front Puppy and edit. We'll add Run Shortcuts and select Get Vehicle ID. We still need to pass in the access token and name. We do this by adding text. We'll move this before the Run Shortcut. I'll select the access token from below and then type semicolon and my car's name with no spaces. Next, we will want to verify that the shortcut is using the text as the input. If you click on Show More, we will see that it's using text as the input. Let's also disable Show While Running. Now if I run this, we should get the same vehicle ID as we did before. And there we go. Now that we got the vehicle ID, let's go ahead and complete the rest. The next step is entirely optional. If your car is asleep, these commands won't work. You can manually ensure your car is awake by using the app or opening the door. Adding this step will ensure your car is awake before we open the front. With this command, we will issue a get command to API/1/vehicles ID/wake_up. The ID is the very same vehicle ID that we got from the previous step. Like the last step where we passed in the name, we're going to pass in the vehicle ID instead. The response looks very much like our previous call. The difference is the last call got the vehicle information without waking up your car. This API call will actually attempt to wake up your car. The wake up might be slow, so we want to ensure that we wait 30 seconds if it's asleep. The value we're looking at here is for the key state. If it's awake, it would say online. If it says anything else, we'll assume it's asleep. We'll key off this value in our example. Let's go ahead and build our step. Let's create a new shortcut. We'll call it Wake Up Tesla. We'll do the same thing as we did in Get Vehicle ID with Show and Share Seat. This time we'll be passing in the access token and vehicle ID. Like before, we'll need to split it up and save it into variables. Now let's make our API call to wake up. In the URL, we'll pass in the vehicle ID that was passed into the shortcut. Unlike before, we aren't going to do the network call immediately. In case the vehicle is asleep, we want to make multiple calls to ensure it's awake. Let's search for repeat. Unlike repeat with each, repeat will do an action a set number of times. For our example, we'll loop through this 5 times. Now that we have the loop, we will make our get content action. Let's drag that into the repeat loop. Only thing we need to do here is change it to post and add authorization. Let's find the key state in the response object. We will get the value for response, followed by get value for state. Now that we have state, it's just a matter of seeing if it is online. If it is online, all we want to do is exit. This action will break the loop and exit the shortcut entirely. The car is awake, pitter patter. If it isn't online, we want to continue to make the call until it is online. In the otherwise clause, we will want to select wait and set it to 30 seconds. Alright, let's go back to the Front Puppy shortcut. We're going to go ahead and select text. Let's set that to access token : vehicle ID. We'll go ahead now and select run shortcut. Select wake up Tesla. Click on show more, verify the text is input. Disable show while running. So let's go run this. We'll go ahead and click OK. And now we get the response online. We're now on the home stretch. The very last step is to open the front. We'll do this by calling the actuate trunk API call, which is API/1/vehicle/ID/command/actuate trunk. Again, we'll pass in the vehicle ID, but we'll set a parameter in our post call this time. The parameter is which_trunk. The value we can pass in is either rear or front. In our example, we'll be choosing front. So let's create our last shortcut and call this open front. Everything we did with getting the access token and vehicle ID from the wake up shortcut, we'll do that here as well. We'll go ahead and add the URL. Next, we'll select get contents of URL. We'll set that to post and set the authorization header as well. Now we will select add new field on request body, select text. Now we'll put which_trunk as the key. For the value, we'll put front. And now that we're completed with our last step, let's go back to Front Puppy shortcut and add another run shortcut. Now let's open this up like before. Let's select shortcut results. We'll go ahead and clear that out since we want to select the text from above. Let's click select magic variable and select the text above run wake up Tesla. And we want to disable show while running. Before we test this out, we want to add one more quick step. We need Siri to respond to us. Now, this response could be anything. We'll select text. I'm going to type in a funny response. Lastly, we'll do a show result, which is what Siri will respond to you once your shortcut has finished running. Alright, so let's give this a shot. Let's Front Puppy.
Boom! The front to the TARDIS is open. Now let's get that puppy in there.
So as you can see from my iPhone, the front did indeed open. Now, if you have a response that says, your shortcut says, followed by the text you entered, you might need to update your iOS to the latest OS version. The Siri shortcut used to say that before, but on the newest version, it just says whatever you put in the text. Well, I hope you found this informative. I'll be adding the shortcuts in the description, so if this is a little bit intimidating, you could download what I did. If you have any questions, let me know. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more of these content. Till next time.